The training grounds of the Vrexian colony ship Talon's Edge echoed with the chittering growls of younglings attempting their first proper hunting stances. Hero stood at the front of the pack, his silver-striped fur bristling with pride as he demonstrated the crouch that had been perfected by his ancestors over 10,000 years of evolution. His haunches coiled tight, claws extended, shoulders hunched forward in the predatory pose that marked every Vrexian warrior. Behind him, 17 other cubs mimicked the stance with varying degrees of success. Some wobbled on unsteady legs. Others had their tails positioned incorrectly, pointing up instead of low and ready to balance a pounce. But they were learning, and that was what mattered in the grand tradition of their people. Hold, Hero growled in his high-pitched cub voice, trying to sound authoritative like Commander Thex. Hold the stance. Feel the power in your haunches. You are the apex. You are the doors to the training hall hissed open, and Arya Voss walked in carrying a container of what the cubs had learned was called lunch. Every single cub immediately broke stance, the hero's ears flattened in frustration, but even he couldn't help the excited twitch of his tail. The human had that effect on all of them, though none of the adult Vrexians seemed to understand why. Commander Thex said humans were adequate allies, decent pilots, mediocre warriors, and surprisingly durable for a species that lacked natural weapons. The cubs, however, had a different assessment entirely. Arya Voss was the most dangerous predator they had ever encountered. "Oh, don't stop on my account," Arya said, her voice carrying that strange musical quality that human speech always had. She set the container down and clasped her hands together. "Were you all practicing hunting stances?" "That's so." She paused, and Kiro recognized the expression. The human was trying not to use the word again. The word that made Commander Thex's fur stand on end. Adorable. She finished anyway, her face splitting into that expression that showed her flat, omnivore teeth. Kiro puffed out his chest. "We are not adorable. We are fierce warriors of the Vrexian Confederacy. I am Kiro, son of Thex, and I will lead my pack too." He didn't get to finish. In a movement almost too fast to track, Arya crossed the distance between them, bent down, and scooped him up in her arms. Hero found himself pressed against the human's chest, lifted completely off the ground, his legs dangling uselessly. "You are the fiercest little warrior," Arya cooed, bringing her face close to his head. Then she did the thing that baffled every Vrexian analyst who had studied human behavior. She pressed her lips to the top of his head in what she called a kiss. Hero's entire body went rigid. Every instinct screamed that he was in the jaws of a predator, that this was a death grip, that he should struggle and fight, and yet, the human's heartbeat thrummed steadily beneath her skin. Her arms, though they held him immobile with casual ease, were gentle. The kiss on his head was warm, and her scent, that strange combination of something sweet and something indefinably human, was oddly comforting. That Kiro's purse started before he could stop it. "There we go," Arya murmured, scratching behind his ears in exactly the spot that made his back leg twitch involuntarily. "Such a good boy." From across the room, he could hear the other cubs chittering with jealousy. Being held by the human was a privilege they all competed for, though none of them would admit it to their parents. "Human Arya," Hero managed, trying to maintain some dignity even as his purr grew louder. "We are conducting warrior training. This is inappropriate." You're right. Arya gently set him down, but not before delivering one more kiss to his head. "I apologize for interrupting, Warrior Kiro." She said it with that tone that adult humans used when they were humoring children, and it made Kiro's tail lash with indignation. But before he could protest, Arya moved through the group, and chaos erupted. Every cub wanted to be picked up. Every cub wanted the head kisses. They swarmed around her legs, climbing over each other, abandoning all pretense of discipline or warrior training. Arya laughed, that peculiar barking sound humans made when amused, and started picking them up one by one, delivering kisses and scratches and murmured praise to each. Hero watched with mixed feelings. On one paw, this was a disaster for discipline. On the other paw, watching the human's face light up with genuine joy as she cuddled each cub made something warm bloom in his chest. The training hall doors opened again, and Commander Thex strode in, his battle scars visible even through his thick fur. He stopped dead at the scene before him. "What," he said slowly, "is happening here?" Arya looked up from where she was holding 3 cubs at once, her arms somehow managing to keep all of them secure. Oh, Commander, I was just... The cubs were practicing their hunting stances and they looked so... Do not say it, Commander Thex warned. Fierce, Arya finished diplomatically. Very fierce. Terrifying, really. Thex's eyes narrowed. His son Kiro was attempting to climb up Arya's leg, having apparently decided that being held once was insufficient. The other cubs were similarly engaged in trying to get the human's attention, their hunting practice completely forgotten. Human Arya, Thex said, his voice carrying the weight of command. You are disrupting military training. Arya had the grace to look sheepish. She gently disentangled herself from the cubs and stood, brushing fur off her uniform. You're absolutely right, Commander. I apologize. She started toward the door, but not before sneaking one last glance at the cubs and mouthing the word adorable where only they could see. After she left, Thex surveyed his son and the other young warriors. They all sat in a disheveled group, their carefully practiced stances forgotten, their fur mussed from human affection, and, most damning of all, they were all purring. Explain, Thex demanded. Kiro stood, trying to reassemble his dignity. Father, we were practicing hunting stances when the human entered. We attempted to demonstrate our prowess, but... He trailed off, unable to explain the inexplicable. Thex sighed, a deep rumble from his chest. He had commanded fleets in battle, had stared down enemies that would make lesser species flee in terror, had negotiated treaties with civilizations that existed before his own. But he could not, for the life of him, understand what power humans held over the young. Resume your training, he ordered. And cubs, humans are allies, not pack leaders. Remember that. But as he left the training hall, he could hear Kiro trying to reorganize the practice, his voice still carrying that contented purr that refused to fade. Thex's tail twitched with something that might have been amusement. Perhaps, he thought, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their stubbornness or their creativity or their surprising durability. Perhaps it was this inexplicable ability to make even the fiercest warrior species feel safe. Thex would never admit it aloud, but even he had felt it. That strange sense of trust when Arya Voss had once placed her hand on his shoulder and called him good boy after a successful mission. He had purred then, too. The commander quickened his pace, determined to forget that particular memory and hoping no one had noticed.